Hello, hello. I'm using resin and I'm going to make a cute little gem for the center of our stone today. I always use art resin. It's non-toxic once it's fully cured. You can eat off this stuff and it's non-yellowing. It's really great. It's expensive, but worth it. And this is the only thing that I use on my stuff. So you guys probably saw me with this little silicone thing before with my last glow-in-the-dark stone that we did. So this is the same process, equal parts resin and hardener. When you're using this kind of resin, it comes in 2 parts. If you don't do equal parts, it will not work out for you. So make sure you are measuring it up or even use a scale to weigh it up to make sure that you're using the proper amount. Now in this, the resin is black lettering, black lid. The hardener is white lettering, white lid. And so you don't want to mix the 2 lids up because they might get stuck on there forever. So make sure you watch your lids. Now I've got a tablespoon of hardener and a tablespoon or a teaspoon. I'm not even sure how much I measured out, but a teaspoon or a tablespoon each. Equal parts, make sure it's equal parts, stir it up, make sure it's stirred up really, really well. You're going to see some bubbles flying out. I've got a couple of resin tutorials that go in deep and explain everything in more detail. So I have the resin tutorials located in the description of this video, but this is really all you do. And then you can use different tools to put the resin into your silicone molds. I use a straw. I know it's strange, but I just dip the straw in and then put my finger over the top of the straw and I pick some up. And then I can slowly drip it into these little areas. And I just keep straws around for that reason. I wash them out with hand sanitizer so that I can keep using them. Let them dry and they can be reused constantly. So I used a Lysol wipe to wipe this out first and then I let it dry. I'm putting Opal chips into the silicone mold. You can see I already put the chips in. There's mint opal and fire ice opal. And I've got my opal from Opal Ring Supply, and I've got the link for that in the description for this video. So once you've put the resin on top, I'm going to use a culinary torch and on a very low setting. I'm going to heat up the top layer of this a couple of times and get rid of any bubbles, and I'm going to let it sit for about 15 hours. Because once you add something to resin, it might change the amount of time that you need to let it rest. So I'm going to let these rest overnight and I'm going to wait until after lunch tomorrow and then I'll pull them out of here. I'm just going to add a little bit more resin to the top of this one. And I'm being very careful. I'm just using a little tool that I have. Like it's probably for nails, but I'm using it as a little spatula or whatever. And I'm just adding a little bit more opal, but most of it is going to settle right to the bottom. It's going to settle right to the bottom, and I want it to because it looks really, really pretty when you can see the light through it. And you guys will see that very, very soon because I'm going to glue it on to the top of our rock, and we're going to work with it. We're going to make it a very beautiful rock. So here's my culinary torch. I'm on a low setting and I'm just blowing out the bubbles that have risen to the surface. I'm going to try and get rid of as many bubbles as I can over the next few minutes. I'm just going to let it sit for a minute and then go back and get rid of some more bubbles because that's one thing with resin. You gotta use some heat to get rid of the bubbles. So carefully, but you don't want to burn anything. So I'm going to let that rest. We'll go back to it. I'll peel them out and they'll be ready for us to play with in just a little while. All right. Now, this is my little stone here. I have made a circle using a compass. I forgot to hit the record button. You guys, I'm stressed. So I've made a circle. I painted it black. I painted a ring around it in gold. And look at our cute little opal gem. This has mint opal in it. It has a little bit of purple but also that mintish green. It's so beautiful. We're going to be using IUILE watercolor paints. They're metallic. They're high pigment, gorgeous watercolor paints. These things, you guys, you're not going to believe the end of this video, so make sure you stay tuned. You are not going to believe it. So I'm using a little bit of glue. I actually used triple thick, DecoArt triple thick. It works perfectly because it's dry by the time I resin my stones, so it works just like glue. And then I resin over it, and then the resin glues it back, like glues it on there for permanent. So I'm going to let that dry. I will clean it up. I'll put some black paint back over top of the glue once it's dry, which is what I'm doing now, because I don't want to lose my matte black surface before I use my watercolor paints. So this little pen, I actually got it from Amazon. It's Arteza. I will leave a link in the description for that brand, but it came with a watercolor set. It's just a water pen. You put water in it. IUILE gave me these awesome little testers for me to try out. These last forever. It's like a little sample card of what they have to offer. Jeannie, you are amazing and brilliant with your watercolors and your pigments and your mica powders, everything. Mica, I don't even know how anyone pronounces it, but the way you create your watercolors is absolutely amazing. And I'm going to go through using my watercolors to make like a rainbow around the entire opal gem that we created. So I'm going to try and use a little bit more of the green and like teal color that I can see coming through, and a little bit of purple. I'm going to add those in here. I'm going to make sure to try and drag out some of the color. Now at Opal Ring Supply, you can get huge amounts of different colors, okay? So you don't have to just get mint colored. You can get amethyst. It's gorgeous. You can get, oh my goodness, there's rainbow. There's all sorts of different ones. It's very expensive, but it goes a long way, and it's worth it. Like when I'm creating these beautiful rocks, you guys, like I said, wait till you see at the end. If you've never been in love before, you're going to be at the end of this video, I promise. And if you have been in love, you're going to be in love again. I promise you. This looks magical. It doesn't look like much right now. You can see the glitter and the sparkles moving around in that watercolor, and it's just, how can you not love this? Like I love sparkly things. So I'm basically like meditating and hypnotized the entire time I'm creating something with this watercolor paint. It's so beautiful. Link is in the description, of course. You can get these little sample cards. Like I said, they'll last a while. It's just perfect. You get to try out all different things, and it's not as expensive if you can't afford like the actual kits. I don't get a discount on these kits or anything, so I only recommend things that I love, and this stuff is brilliant. You'll see it at the end of the video. Covered underneath a coat of resin. I just don't even know how to explain how beautiful it is. I really don't. So, I have found my circle again. I outlined with gold. I've let my watercolor paint dry. You can see it's dry now, but there's still like a glittery sheen to it. This is going to look totally different when I seal it, okay? It doesn't look like much right now. It's like, meh, I've seen better. But no, trust me, wait till the end of the video. So now I'm doing like a chain link from dot to dot. You guys have seen me do this kind of stuff before. I did a big dot at the top, bottom, left, right. Then I went in between those ones. I left a big space. And now I'm doing like chain from one dot to the next, just using dots. It just kind of looks like chain to me. So it's a chain link from one dot to the next. And I'm trying to keep them even, trying to keep them the same size. You know, some of them are a bit droopier than others. That's okay. I'm just letting the watercolor dry a little bit, and then we're going to work around our gem. I wanted to make sure our gem was dry and glued on, and our watercolor was dry. So I just want to let you know that this watercolor looks amazing on top of matte black paint. So there's a little hint. It doesn't go great on top of a resin stone, but you can always do a circle on a resin stone and then paint it black with matte black paint and then use your watercolor. So if you're having a problem with watercolor on resin stones, paint the surface black or white. But I'm telling you, on top of the black surface, you will see, I ain't lying, you will see at the end of this video the magic that happens once we seal this. So I've just used a very fine dotting needle. You can use a toothpick, and I dotted around our oval shaped or teardrop. I guess it's a teardrop. Our teardrop shaped gem that we created. So pretty. I wish you guys could see just how pretty it is in person. Hopefully I can capture that for you at the end of the video so that you can love it as much as I do. Now I'm just doing very fine dots. I'm going up, see where those big dots are that we did already around the ring? I'm following up those dots, going straight towards the gem in the center. I'm staying on those, along the same line as those dots so that everything kind of matches up. I'm not good with keeping everything perfect, but we're close, and that's all that matters. It kind of looks like everything is even and where it should be, kind of, but I'm not really concerned. All right, so I will be adding some Swarovski crystals to this before I resin it as well. So everywhere you see a big dot already, I'm going to be putting a black dot on top, including these ones that I'm doing now around the teardrop. Once they're dry, I'm going to add a black dot to them. And then I'm going to be adding a Swarovski crystal to them on top. I'm just going to glue them right on, and then I'm going to resin right over top. It'll still look really pretty, I promise. So now I'm going back to my little dotting needle, or you can use a toothpick. It's a very small end, anything with a very small point on the end, so that you can get very fine little dots. And I'm just walking the dot around the larger dot, just to kind of give it a nice little fancy design. Kind of makes it look a little more intricate, little fancy schmancy. Now, you can use whatever shape you want. If you want to use a heart shape, circle, square, if you want a star, it's really easy. Just work with what you got. I'm using a teardrop shape. I think they look really pretty. Plus my stone kind of has a teardrop shape to it. So I was working with the stone. And if you don't have a real stone, check in the description of this video, because you can go to another Etsy company that I absolutely love, which is Happy Dotting Company, and you can buy molds and create your own perfectly shaped stones and create as many of them as you want. I know we're coming into winter right now here in Northern Ontario, so there's going to be like zero capability of getting rocks. So you might see I start using a few more rocks that I've made myself using the molds from Happy Dotting Company. I believe she also has a new pen holder mold, and it's amazing, and I can't wait to make a tutorial and see what we can create with it. So I did a big swoop of gold underneath our chain, and now I'm doing a little line coming from our little chain links, our little dots, just a line to that little gold swoop that we just did. I'm just doing, I'm going to try and keep it as simple as possible. I don't want to go too fancy around the sides. What we really want is to focus on the center, but also this gorgeous Lake Superior stone is going to look absolutely amazing once I seal it. And I want to show that off a little bit. So that the natural background of the stone, I want us to be able to appreciate that as much as we do the center. So now, between our swoops, if you're new here, welcome. I don't use technical terms here. But please, by all means, if you know the technical terms for anything that I'm talking about, share, please, in the comment section. Also, any ideas for any new tutorials you guys want? Christmas is coming. Winter, snow, ice, Christmas lights, all that kind of stuff is coming. So let me know what you want me to paint. So I've made like little diamonds between my swoops. I painted it black with black paint inside those swoops because, once again, this watercolor, metallic watercolors, they look beautiful on top of the matte black. They have like this whole look to them, and I just love them so, so much. So I'm going to be using a mixture of some greens and teals around the outside, and I'm just going to do each triangle or each diamond that I just painted. Make sure you wait till it's dry. Make sure it's dry first. I'm just going to do each one a different color, but I'm going to stick with like the colors that are in the center of the opal. So you do what you want. If you don't have a center opal, you do whatever you want. You match the colors however you want. You can also use metallic paints if you don't have these gorgeous watercolors. Definitely metallic paint will do similar, very similar. Just the blending part, the watercolor easily blends together and it just kind of just works. It looks absolutely beautiful, and each color just blends in with another. And you have like this ombre kind of look. You would have to do a lot of blending if you're just using metallic paint, but I have lots of blending tutorials that you can follow, and it'll work the same way with metallic paint. So it's totally up to you. You don't have to start with a black surface if you don't want to. If you're sick of black, because I use a lot of black and a lot of gold in all of my tutorials, that's just what I like. But you can choose what you want to do. And if you don't like opal, or if you don't want to buy opal, you don't have to. This is just what I have at home, just making stuff. And I want to share it with all of you because I love you all. I just want to thank a couple of people who recently donated to my PayPal, a substantial donation. I'm going to say their first names. You guys know who you are if you're watching my channel. Karen and Kathy, just over the past couple of months, they have both donated to me. And recently, I just want you to know how much that really means to me, because we came into a horrible situation and we had to send our pup over the Rainbow Bridge. Her name was Maisie. I will post a picture of her on my community tab so that you guys can see how beautiful she is. She was 10 years old and she was our family baby. She had nerve damage, and it was basically, she was going to be in a lot of pain and suffering quite a lot, and we might not have been able to fix her. It wasn't looking good at all. So unfortunately, last weekend was awful. So I appreciate that PayPal donation. Karen and Kathy, you guys, thank you so much for supporting me and being so grateful for what I do on my channel here. This is fun for me, but you guys are so grateful and so thankful, and I appreciate every single one who's hit that subscribe button, and thank you for hitting the like button, you guys. You guys are my family, so when I don't get to come on here for a while and paint with you and share with you, I get sad, and so I'm glad that I'm back today. And I'm doing this today because I feel less sad about my pup. So I have just added some Swarovski crystals to each one of the bigger dots that I put on the stone. And I'm just using a little wax pencil, some Swarovski flat backs that I got from Amazon. You don't have to do this. Once again, you can just put a little blob of glitter, some hologram 2796. That would look beautiful with this kind of opal as well. So, but you decide what you want to do. I'm just showing you something beautiful. This looks like something someone would find like in a room full of gold coins. It's beautiful. I can't wait to show it to you resined, and creating things like this makes me so happy. I don't know if I've told you guys yet, but I appreciate you. And I'll tell you again before the end of this video. I appreciate you. So you can't really see what I'm doing, but I'm just putting a couple of dots, 3 dots down the side underneath each one of my diamonds. I'll show you that a little bit. You can't really see it. It's hard to see because the rock isn't sealed. What is this? That's not my glittery background that you're used to seeing, is it? That's snow. And I came out into the snow to show you guys how beautiful this is. That is sealed with 1 coat of resin. Look at that watercolor paint. Oh my word. It looks so beautiful. It looks so beautiful with the opal as well. Here, I'll hold it still for you so you can see it a little bit longer. I appreciate you all. Thank you for always being here when I'm able to come back away from my family life a little bit. Keep painting. I'll be back very soon. I love you all. Bye-bye.